Hello and welcome back to the Art Room with Mr. Eck. Today we're going to be doing an artist study about one of my favorite painters, Claude Monet. Claude Monet was one of the founding members of the Impressionist movement, and he is a French painter, meaning that he was born and lived in France in the 1800s and the very early 1900s, which means he passed away about 100 years ago or so from right now. And so the Impressionists, they like to go outside and paint nature. They were very nature focused. They wanted to take exactly what they saw and put that on the canvas. So they would go at different times of day, different times of the year, because depending on when you're outside, it changes the color of things. Claude Monet would go out and find a haystack, and he would paint that same haystack in the morning, then he'd come back and paint it at night. He'd paint it in the summer, he'd paint it in the winter, and the colors would change based on the time of day and the time of the year, and he just wanted to get those colors as exact as what he exactly saw right then. So it's pretty fun, pretty quick, fast paintings, and that's why they didn't have a whole lot of detail, but that's not the point of Impressionism. The point of Impressionism is to give you the impression of the view that the artist is seeing. So let's look at a couple of his paintings real quick. By the way, he's known for his water lily paintings. Water lilies are the flowers that grow on lily pads, and he loved painting water lilies on water. So let's look at a couple of his famous water lily paintings right now. So this is one of Monet's paintings. If you'll see, there's not a whole lot of details. He used kind of blobs of paint to represent the lily pads and the flowers. But I want to point out something. It's not just blue water and green lily pads. If you look at one lily pad, it's got some dark green, some light green, some kind of cream color here. Some of them have white, some of them have some little bits of brown, some of them have a little bit of pink. And then these little flowers here are mostly like a pinkish purple and white. Those are the water lilies, and these are the lily pads. The water, as you've noticed, is not just white. It's not just blue. It's got dark blues, it's got light blues, it's got greens because these are the reflections of the trees on the other side of the pond. So there's a whole lot of colors that go into an Impressionist work of art. Here's another one. On this one, it's a lot darker, so I'm guessing this was closer to the end of the day. It's probably getting dark outside. Instead of blue, we've got kind of an olive green and purple colors in the water. And the water lilies themselves are kind of light green with lots of yellow in it this time, so that's pretty interesting. This one looks like it's kind of in the middle of the day because nice bright colors. The water isn't blue at all. It's lots of greens and purples and yellows. It's just a reflection of the trees above. Pretty cool. Usually when you think of painting water, you think of just blue, but if you're looking from this angle, you're actually not seeing the water, you're seeing the reflection of everything around it. This one has lots of blue, but it's kind of a purpley blue, and it's also got some white and some purples and some greens. The water lilies themselves and the lily pads are lots of bright greens and yellows and pinks. So the colors were very different this time, but the subject matter is the same. And this is the last one we'll look at. The water on this one, mostly green with some blue. We've got lots of greens, light greens, dark greens, whites, pinks, purples. So like I mentioned, Impressionism uses lots and lots of colors. It's not just like a coloring book where you pick one color and fill something in. You kind of need to do lots of colors together, layer them on top, mix them together a little bit. We'll be doing that in our lesson today. So now it's time to make our own Monet-style water lily artwork. We're going to be using oil pastels and watercolors. Let me show you how we're going to do it right now. So first we need to draw some water lilies. For the water lilies, we're just going to draw some ovals, some wide ovals. So I'm going to start at the bottom of my page. I'm going to draw a wide oval like that. I'm going to draw another one over here, a little bit smaller. I'm going to draw another one right here, a little bit smaller. And as we go up, we're going to go smaller and smaller. That's going to help it look, help with the effect that the water lilies are getting farther away, like we're looking into the distance. You should have some that go off the page, and you should have some that come in clumps, because that's what it looked like. That's something I noticed in Monet's artwork. Getting smaller as we go up. You should also have more water lilies as you go up. You should get quite a bit smaller. Like, look at the difference in size between my first one and the one at the top of the page. They should be quite a bit different in size. Add a few more. Add a few more that go off the page. Alright, so next I'm going to color my water lilies with oil pastels. Like we looked at Monet's paintings, I'm going to use a variety of colors. I'm going to use mostly greens. I'm going to use some light greens, some dark greens. I'm going to throw in some yellow, some dark yellow, maybe a little bit of brown. We need a few of these with water lilies. I didn't think of that. So water lilies just kind of look something like that. They don't all need a water lily, but maybe a few of them. And those can be pink and white. Not that one, it's too close to the top. Maybe one right here. Alright, so I'm going to color this with oil pastels. And you can layer oil pastels on top of one another. They blend kind of nicely. So don't be afraid to color with one color on top of another one. And after that, we'll talk about painting. Alright, for the rest of this, we're going to need some watercolors, just some standard watercolors you get at any Walmart, Target, Kroger, HEB, wherever you shop. Almost everybody has some watercolors for sale for about $1, maybe $2. We're going to paint that. We're going to use this for our water that we're going to paint. A cool thing about oil pastels and water-based paints is you can paint right on top of the oil pastels, and the oil pastel pushes the water away. It forms a barrier over the paper, and it will not let the water get to the water-based paint get to the paper. It's kind of like a force field. So I'm literally just going to paint right on top of my water lilies and blend the colors. I'm going to use greens, blues, yellows, maybe some browns, maybe some purples, because as we talked about, Monet used all kinds of colors when he was painting his the water in his paintings. So I'm going to do all that. I'm going to paint right on top of these, and the reason I've got a tissue here is afterwards there may be some water that gets trapped on the oil pastel, and I'm just going to dab the tissue on top of the oil pastel water lilies just to clean those blobs of paint up. They'll just make it look nicer. So I'm going to do that time lapse, and then we'll talk about it. And here it is, my finished Monet water lily painting. I think it turned out very nicely. It was a lot of fun to make. As one of my favorite art lessons to teach, I love the mixing of water-based paints and oil pastels, and I hope you enjoy making your water lilies. I will see you guys next time in the art room.